Hello, my friend. I hope you're well this midweek or whenever you're listening. So glad to have you today. We are so overjoyed to have the delightful marriage coach, Michelle Purta, with us. She is so good at helping us to process conscious communication, also known as nonviolent communication. You may have heard of this from the famous Marshall Rosenberg, who was awesome at this method, developed it, helped others in some of the most severe war zone spaces in the world to use it in the past to get along. And it's amazing that he could be a psychologist, a peacemaker, a teacher, and even help people in war zones like Rwanda, Serbia, Palestine, Israel, all over. As we know, these are hotbeds for arguments in the past and even still today. And so it's amazing to see when we can use a tool in our own relationships and marriages that has had such worldwide success. And Michelle brings us through her peace acronym with it in just a way that connects with her and I, even as we're processing through the recording. So I'm so glad you're with us. This is almost a live recording. I'm sharing it Wednesday, but it is so cool that we could bring this episode out as quickly as possible to you because I know you and you're here ready for tips and tools. And that's exactly what you're going to get today. We had our fun Taylor Swift episode on Monday, but today you are getting some meat. And that is exactly what I want because I know you need to help those energetic marriage mitochondria. Okay. So aside from that, I hope you're well. Our only other announcements are I'm looking forward to the Ennea Summit, Midlife and Beyond with you. We can continue to learn and grow from those who have gone before or alongside of us if we're already in those years. And that is also in the show notes. We also have an Enneagram and marriage survey that you can help us to know what you want to see more of on the pod. We are otherwise just having a very busy family week. Wes and I are continuing to teach our C.S. Lewis study. We are headed out to USF for some homecoming events this week and to hear a speaker together as a family, in addition to kids' lessons, soccer, voice, soccer games. Actually thinking about that. Are we going to be able to do the soccer game and the football game? I think so. And Melody with all of her different singing things, and Hannah with her grad school applications and GRE tests. We are just in the thick of it with our kids, with us, but we wouldn't have it any other way because this is a beautiful season. And I was also able to speak at the Bridge of Life Foster and Adoption Care group last night. So that was a joy because that's my favorite outreach mission. And I'm sure some of you out there do adoption and foster care. I am just in awe. You are my heroes. And to be able to serve and to speak to you while you're serving day in and out is such a joy. So whatever you're doing out there, keep doing it. It's working. You are making the world a better place. Let's talk to Michelle. She is truly sharing her beautiful marriage gift with us today. And also make sure you check everything out of hers in the show notes too. Michelle, I am so happy to have you on the Enneagram and Marriage podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun having you on my show, and I'm so excited to dive into this with you today.
Oh my goodness, we are all excited. I think that something marriage specialists really appreciate is learning from other marriage specialists because we each have different styles. So I am seriously geeked out. Tell us about yourself, your family, a little bit about your story as we get started, before we get started talking about even a bit more with Enneagram and what we're here for today with training.
Yeah, so I'm a marriage coach and I work with parents to help them know that you don't have to have the background of having parents who had a healthy relationship, who had a successful, happy relationship, in order for you to have that also. I didn't have that growing up. And so for me, it took a lot of learning, realizations, humility,
Yeah.
for me to recognize that no, it's not just the lucky ones who get to
Mm,
have a happy, successful marriage. It's people who learn the essential skills and the strong foundation for how to nurture your marriage, how to
mm,
grow in your marriage, and that just because you have kids, it doesn't mean that that all has to go away. So I very much love to help couples thrive in their marriage after kids. And other than that, I am a married mom of three. I've got a stepson who is almost 16. I have a 9-year-old and I have a 5-year-old daughter. And I got into this because I realized after failed relationships that there had to be something that I was missing.
Mm,
I was not willing to accept that I was just going to have awful relationships in
mm,
my life just because I was unlucky.
wow.
And it was only after doing some reflective work that I realized that a lot of the relationships I had, or I should say all of the romantic
Mm,
relationships I've had, they all turned out the same way. So even though I was
mm.
dating someone different each
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
completely different people with their unique individual ways of doing life and approaching things,
Mm-hmm.
I still had the same dynamic with them. I
Wow.
would get upset. We would start arguing. I would get passive aggressive. We would talk in circles. I would not feel
Mm,
heard, supported, loved in the way that I needed. And it
mhm,
would just go in this cycle.
mm.
And it wasn't until I had that aha moment where like that light bulb went off and I'm like, oh my gosh, if I'm the common denominator in all of these relationships, then it's me. I have things that I need to do to
Mm,
change that. Now, I'm not saying that they're perfect and they had
right.
nothing to do to grow,
Right.
but
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I can't keep blaming people for my experience. It's time
Mm,
to empower myself to look at what can I do differently to have a different experience. And so from that point on, it was like, okay, what do I need to learn? What don't I know? And that's
mm,
what leads to me now specializing in healthy communication, nonviolent communication, conscious communication, whatever you want to call it. And that has changed the way I experience my marriage, the way I communicate with my kids, the way I communicate with my friends. And now I get to, well, and it's not even now, I mean, it's been 8 years, but
yeah.
now I support those who also, like me, don't have a background of people modeling them and showing
Yes.
them how to essentially communicate in a way where you can keep that relationship intact.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And you have been really gifted with this. You're a top 3% podcaster. You are out there really showing others. And I think that as we talk about your Enneagram type, people will notice like you are doing your work. And even for you to start with saying there had to be some humility that I am part of this and I'm empowered. That is beautiful, especially as we think of your type. Tell everybody what you and your hubby's type are.
Yes, so I'm a type 2, if you can't tell. I'm a very heart-centered person. I love to help other people. It just brings me so much joy to know that I have positively impacted someone
Mm,
else.
yeah.
And my husband's a 5. So deeply analytical, is very much in his head all of the time, and truly deeply cares about the people that he lets in and just wants to protect them.
Oh, oh my goodness. And you couldn't have said it better that with fives having limited energy, I was just talking to one that I was doing a talk with last night. She was, of course, background facilitating in the back, like just making sure everything tech was good. And she was saying, there's just reminding me such limited energy. So they have to be careful with who they interact with. Is that how you've experienced your hubby too?
Actually, yes. So he is introverted. So he's very classic type
Mm,
5.
okay.
And I love that he is very discerning about who
Mm,
he lets in.
yeah.
From the very beginning of when I first met him, because I'm much more extroverted than him, I
Yeah.
almost like adopted him into my life. I was like, you
Yeah.
seem like a nice guy. Like, let's be friends.
Yeah.
He's
Mhm.
always been the type of guy who's not just like easily lets people in. He's like, let me kind of sit back and
Mhm.
observe what you're like, what you're about,
Yeah.
and see if we're a good mesh.
Yeah.
And then only then will he let you in. Whereas I'm like, do we have something in common? Cool. Cool. Let's be friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he's like, hang on a second. And do you feel like over time the two of you are rubbing off on each other? That was fascinating
Yes.
to me. Okay, tell me more about that. Tell us all more about that.
Yeah, so he has very strong boundaries, like
Mhm.
very strong boundaries.
Mhm.
And as a 2, that is an area that I was weaker in. I would not really realize my needs until too late. And then I would
Mhm.
essentially explode. I would get really aggressive and almost take on this like martyr like argument, like nobody wants to help me, nobody's there for me, no one understands what I go through. And he's so good about processing his feelings before sharing them that I truly had to like soak that in. I'm like, how come you're
Mhm.
so cool as a cucumber all of the time? Like, even if you
Mhm.
feel
Yeah.
hurt, you still deliver the message in such a kind way that
Mhm.
I want to be more like that because I didn't witness that growing up. I also don't naturally feel like I have an easy time doing that. It's like a big mental effort. And just knowing that he has that in him, it gives me more, I don't know, what's the word? Like, it gives me
Mhm.
more examples that that's
Yeah, that's
possible.
really cool. I love that. It's a platform for you to step out into that you've seen somebody else try and it's been
Mm-hmm.
successful.
Yes.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's really neat. And what do you think he's learned from you? I'm always curious about that with
Mm-hmm.
fives and twos.
So what he's shared with me about what he really likes observing that I do is how willing I am to help people and be there for people and how considerate I am of other people.
Mm,
So I which is kind of funny because I think he's also very considerate, but
yeah.
maybe it's more like in quiet actions, whereas I'm very I have a good friend that I just made here locally in Georgia. I just moved here last year, and
Mm-hmm.
she got diagnosed with breast cancer.
Hmm.
And
Sorry.
it was her birthday earlier this year,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? You've had a really bad go the last several months. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got to talking with her other friends and we threw her a surprise birthday party where we went all out. We hired like a party bus. We decorated our friend's house to surprise her. We took her out to dinner and to go to karaoke because she said she's always wanted to do that.
Oh my
And that's
God.
just like what I love. I love to help people feel special. And
Yes.
for him, he's just like so in awe that I would go to such lengths for people that I really care about. And
Oh,
so I see that he does that for his family. So he does that for me. He's so good at making me feel like
mm,
I am just like the love of his life. He truly cares so much about me and wants me to live happily, that he's so supportive with like my goals, my self-care time. He's like, anything I can do, I will do it for you so
mm.
that you're happy. So I kind of see that part rubbing off on him.
Wow. I love that you're seeing that. And he's noticing that it fulfills and that there's a synergy to it versus, oh my gosh, you're doing that and it totally took you down. Again, you're showing him that platform, that example, like you said, of somebody who
Hmm.
can do this and survive and even thrive through it because giving gives back, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Mm. I love that. Well, this is just a great reminder for all of us as we get started that we can learn from each other, especially this is key when we're in that space of being like, my spouse is really getting to me. We're having trouble communicating. A lot of people today are tuning in, particularly because we're thinking about, oh my gosh, Michelle is here to help us really express our needs without starting a fight. And that is
Mhm.
so beautiful. So I do want to get into that as well. Can you tell us a little bit about, you already kind of talked about how you want healthy relationships and that you had to have a turning point. Um, I would say it would be wonderful actually if you could tell us a little bit about nonviolent communication and give us an overview of why it's such a game changer for us.
Yes. So if you think about your arguments over the last however many decades you've been alive, right?
Mhm.
You'll notice that they all have something in common, right? We get triggered, and then this like other side of us comes out, one that we don't always particularly look back on fondly. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, that
Hmm.
wasn't the best way to deal with that. And
Yeah.
so, nonviolent communication or conscious communication, it really comes down to being intentional, right? So, doing it from a place of I am communicating this way
Mhm.
on purpose, not
Mm.
reactively, not slipping into your coping mechanism because you're triggered, where, you'll either fight, flight, fawn, or
Mm.
what is the, oh my gosh, I just blanked out.
Yeah.
Fight, flight,
Like freeze,
freeze,
fawn,
fawn.
all
Thank
of the
you.
different ones. There's so
All of
many more,
those,
I know.
right? Which has different outcomes, right? So you'll either get really loud and big and yell or name call and get aggressive, or you'll kind of just like, I can't do this, I gotta get out, or you'll freeze and you look like a stone wall, like, hello, are you there?
Yeah.
Or you'll say things just to appease your partner to end the disruptive or disconnect between you two. And
Mhm.
so nonviolent communication is all about how can you communicate your needs, your feelings, your wants
Mhm.
without being quote unquote violent about it? And there is a way for you to assertively share those things about yourself in a way that will help your partner still want to engage with you, right? So
Mm.
you're not pushing, you're not prodding or poking, you're just coming open heart, open arms, saying, hey, this is me right now. This is what I'm experiencing in a way that doesn't come off aggressively or off-putting. You're
Mhm.
not trying to protect yourself. You are trying to connect. And that's truly the disconnect here with most couples is that they focus on protecting themselves from
Mhm.
perceived danger rather
Mhm.
than reaching for their partner to connect. So
Mm.
that's what the basis of nonviolent communication is about. It's about truly remembering the reason why you're communicating, the reason why you're going through this conflict is for the purpose of growing and connecting.
Okay. So we're being able to say, I have an issue, I want to process it, but it's got to be for the reason of growing and connecting. And I know it is, but I have to present that way. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And that is a big mental effort for those who are not used to doing it that way,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because it's
100%.
much easier and faster for you to react, for you to do things that you have cemented into your habits
Hmm.
over the last several decades, right? For me, it's like, oh, it's very easy to snap at people. It's very easy to get angry and blame people. And
Hmm.
it's much more challenging for me to stop and think, okay, that's what I would do in the past. Now, how can I still get my needs met and do it in a way that creates connection, that builds that bridge between us two instead of sever it? Because at
Hmm.
the end of the day,
Hmm.
we both want the same thing. We want to come back to feeling good about each other and grow from this. So,
Yeah.
what's the route that will take us there? And I think it's that missing link of, oh, let me pause and reflect and process this first,
Yeah.
that muddies the water.
Okay. And do you feel like when we come in with the intention, like I'm slowing down, I'm looking at this from a new perspective, not just my needs, but our relationship, do you find that that's the main step, or are there other pieces that we have to remember once we bring in this platform?
Yeah, so I love to teach my clients what I call the PEACE method. I broke it down as an acronym. So I think the really important thing is pausing. So that's the P.
Okay.
And then first understanding what is it that I'm experiencing? Because if you don't know on a self-awareness level where you're at,
Mm.
like why you're triggered, what you're needing, what you're feeling,
Hmm.
all of that will get lost because instead of sharing and listening,
Mm.
what you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking for spaces to get into after they speak, for you to react, to get back at them, use their information against them, right? So
Mm.
you're not grounded during the
Hmm.
conversation. You're kind of just like, again, back in that fight or flight mode. You're there to protect. You
Hmm.
have harmed me in some way, so I'm gonna get back at you.
Yeah.
Either, being aggressive or eye rolling or whatever it is. Those like very toxic but common
Hmm.
habits that we bring into our conversations when things get heated. And so you first got to pause and understand what it is that you're needing. Then you're going to express it in a way where it's like, okay, how can I share this information about what I've gathered about myself and my experience in this moment that will help my partner understand without pointing the finger
Wow.
and while accepting full responsibility for my actions? So, what this can look like is, let's say you are used to your husband coming out as soon as he hears the garage door open to
Mm-hmm.
come out to your car and help you bring stuff in.
Okay.
And then he doesn't.
Mm.
You're like, what's going on here? Why aren't you out here? See,
Yeah.
I have to do everything for everyone and no one's ever there for me. And you have that narrative playing
Mm.
that can get you to level 10 in like a matter of 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And you have different routes that you can take. You can approach your husband and say, you know, I know you heard the garage door open. Why didn't you come out and help me? Why do you
Mm-hmm.
just leave me to do this all by myself? That's, you know, fill in the blank. And then you get
Yeah.
to arguing. He feels
Yeah.
attacked. He feels the need to defend. You don't feel supported. You start to, continue to criticize. You always, you never, speaking
Mm-hmm.
very extreme, absolute
Yes.
sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can go in and think, okay, I'm really upset right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why, let that narrative play out because we can't always control like what thoughts come in.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you're like, okay, yeah, that's one reality. What's
Mm-hmm.
another?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't, like, what's another reason why he didn't come out? If he normally does this, and I can remember that he is a good man and he loves and supports me most times, then what could be a good reason why he didn't? Maybe he's in
Mm-hmm.
the bathroom. Maybe he's on a work call. Maybe he's busy. Or maybe he's asleep. I don't know. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can go on like, okay, well, I've kind of given him the benefit of the doubt. Let me just share with him, hey, I really love it when you come out and help me unload the car. It makes me feel so loved and so supported and appreciated. And when that didn't happen today, I got to be in a really dark place about our marriage. Obviously, you probably wouldn't do this off of one time,
Right.
but
Right.
just giving an example,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
great way to share your heart and like talk about what you experience without saying, you're so lazy or, name
Mm-hmm.
calling or making it about how awful of a partner he's being.
Yeah.
If you
Mm-hmm.
just keep that focus on what was I feeling, what was I experiencing, what was the narrative that I was telling myself so that he can get some insight into what was going on in you so that
Mm-hmm.
he can keep that in mind for
Mm-hmm.
future encounters. Like, oh, she really appreciates when I go out and do that. So I'm going to do my best to be there as much as I can or to be really proactive about certain things. But if we go in hot, they
Yeah.
don't learn as receptively
Mm-hmm.
that this is the recipe to keeping my wife happy and showing her the love that she wants to be shown. They're going to be
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa, and then set off their fight or flight moments, and they're going to come in and you're going to spiral as a couple.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It made me wonder too, do you think, and I want to make sure I didn't cut you off first. Did you have anything
no.
else you want? Oh, okay. I was gonna say it makes me think maybe our audience can even hear what would be a harsh way to come in with that.
Hmm.
A way that instead of that way where you came in and said,
Yes.
hey, like I just wanted to let you know that that means so much to me when you do that, and I missed that today, and it took me to a dark place. That was good. What would be an example where you're like, it just isn't gonna get through?
Yes, yes. Okay. So that would look like coming in through the house, slamming the door shut,
Mm,
huffing and puffing with all the groceries in your hand, and just like being really aggressive about your body language. And he comes in and he's like, whoa, I can feel the tension, right? And you're like,
mhm.
I guess you're too busy to help me today. Where were you? So that is not a great
Mhm.
approach
Yeah,
because you're
so good.
automatically going to put your partner on the defense and they're
Hmm.
going to feel attacked, right?
Yeah.
So back to that question, are you trying to protect or are you trying to connect? Which of those
Ooh.
approaches
Ooh, I like that.
Which of
Cool
those approaches does
question.
what, right?
Girl, you got me a little bit there. Because sometimes there's in all of us this scanning for negativity, like, oh my gosh, like you've just sealed it. I knew I couldn't trust you, shoot, or whatever. Like, I
Exactly.
knew you weren't good, or I knew you weren't loving, like what we do, whichever triad or group of the Enneagram, right? Heart
Yes.
types would be like, it's you don't love me, or you're not safe, or
Yes.
you're not good. So you're just reminding us, come in with the story, the narrative that they do have your best interest at heart, come in as a team versus this protective way. Ooh, I love that. Okay, thank you. And we got through your P of the system.
Yes, 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 yes. So pause, and then there's express, which is
Yeah,
what we kind of gave an example of.
perfect.
And then A is acknowledge. This is a
Mhm.
huge part of the repair process. Acknowledge your part in this.
Mhm.
Your partner is not going to be very willing or open to share where they, misstepped or whatever if they feel like you're just blaming them and you're pointing the finger. But if you come in and you're like, you know what? I didn't handle that very well. I'm so sorry. I came in with such a bad attitude. I
Mhm.
just really needed to feel supported in that moment because it's been a stressful week. And I know I didn't approach you in the kindest way. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
If someone hears that, they're going to be
Mhm.
like, oh, they're
Mhm.
not here to continue to attack me. They're actually taking responsibility for
Yeah.
their side.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if there's something that I need to apologize for or take ownership of. Now,
Ooh, I like
granted, if
that.
you're new to this, know that this may not happen immediately. It can
Mhm.
take multiple incidents of them trusting that, oh, this is a way that we do things now for them to actually do that. Okay. So
Mhm.
I don't want you to like give this a try one time. You're like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, I even think that would be a good one to put with this of like this scenario. And it really, I think, lands for a lot of us. I want every listener to just be pausing and think of what was what were you hanging your hat on this week or this month with your partner that you were like, and like that was such a
Mhm.
very real example. So, what would it be like if we said, I want to take a little bit of ownership for myself in that grocery example?
Yeah, so that would look like, I automatically jumped to assuming that you were just sitting around choosing not to help me. You wanted me to struggle, and that wasn't very fair of me to jump to that conclusion instead of approaching you with curiosity, like, huh, I wonder what has him occupied that he can't come help me right now. Or me not
Mm-hmm.
coming in and saying, hey, I'm back. Can you
Hmm.
help come out and bring some groceries in?
Hmm.
And like let you know my needs instead of assuming that I'm home and that I went to the grocery store and I needed your support. And
Yeah.
so that is a great way for you to check yourself because we're not perfect, right? Our minds can easily go to those dark places. Like Krista shared, we
Hmm.
all have some story that has been playing in our minds. And anytime we're triggered,
Hmm.
our brains will almost like confirm that that story is true by picking out specific details
Hmm.
to support that. But that sounds awesome, but it's actually not the best
No, it's
sometimes
not.
because it ignores certain details that make it untrue. And so we have to make a very conscious effort to be like, okay, I know that that's my filtered way of looking at this. Now, if I'm willing to look at this outside of the tunnel, what
Hmm.
else did I notice that I'm actively ignoring? Right. And so that could be like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, I remember he had a meeting. Or I,
So real.
um, whatever. Oh, I didn't park in the garage this time, so he didn't hear the garage door open. Or, whatever it is. I can't think of anything else right now. But
Yeah, but those
if
are
you pushed,
awesome. Those right there speak to us.
yeah,
They're so real. They're
yeah.
just like going, that's going to be the case versus, oh, you were right. They hate you. They were hiding from that
Hmm.
garage. But it was such a perfect example, Michelle, because it's like whether it's that or something similar, everyone has one. For me, I had one like that not long ago about food, where I was like, why didn't my hubby bring me food? I'm a type 7. I need my food. And then he was like, it was going to be 45 minutes till I saw you. Did you want to wait or get cold food? I'm like, Good point.
Yes.
I thought you hated me. I was like, I didn't go that far, but I was like, I'm hurt. And like, I did tell, but I didn't say like, and I didn't even say I'm hurt. I didn't even use the feeling word. Guys, I am not perfect at this. And I did say, like, I was curious. I tried to be curious. Like, why didn't you respond to my hunger cues? So would have been even better had I said, and then I realized I didn't even have
Yep.
to bring this to Wes because I realized Wes was 45 minutes away from me. That kind of thing. So I just love that you're getting us thinking. Very good. What about C?
Yeah. So C is compassion, right? So I
Mm,
kind of touched on that a little bit. Like, okay, well, where can I put myself in their shoes?
yeah.
What was this experience like for them? Again, giving them the benefit of the doubt, thinking about what would it feel like to be on the receiving end of what I'm
Mm,
saying? Would I appreciate how it's being said? Would I receive this well? Or will I just feel like, whoa, I need to get away from you? You are acting like a crazy person.
mm.
And so remembering that you're just one
Interesting.
half of the relationship, that it's really sobering to be like, oh, right.
Mm,
Even though I'm upset, even though I'm triggered, it doesn't justify my bad behavior, right? And
yeah.
so we have to really remember that there is someone on the other side of
Mhm.
what's happening,
Mm,
and we can't let our emotions just take over. Like, yes, feel them.
yeah.
They're very insightful to us, but we
Mhm.
have to stop there, right? We have to be like, okay, what are the messages and the lessons that you're teaching me about myself? And let me take this and transform it into a conversation that can help us grow and connect.
Mm, mhm. Because that is the goal, as you
That
reminded.
is the goal.
But coming in with compassion, we all have that fundamental attribution error. Like, I'm a little better, I'm a little healthier. But when you flip the script and say, how would I react to them coming at me
Hmm.
like this? That is huge. And I don't say that one enough. And I'm really glad you specifically said that. It makes me also think of how sometimes in marriage, we will say to ourselves, if it was me in your shoes, I would be considerate, but we don't really play the exact story out. Well, if I was this far away or
Yeah.
if I was upstairs and didn't hear, would I like to be confronted if somebody's like, why weren't you there for those groceries or those food? So I think that's really neat that you're getting us to think on that. What about the E?
Yeah, so E is the most important part out of all of this. And it might seem like it's an insignificant part, but it really closes everything out. And E is for embrace.
Mm,
Much of the repair process
yeah.
is, yeah, identifying, okay, where did we go wrong? What can
Mm,
we do better next time? Because it is an evolution of how you communicate with each other.
yeah.
But after that, do you ever notice like when you're fighting, you kind of feel like you're both licking your wounds. You don't really know how to be together again. It's
Yes.
just like this
Mhm.
awkward testing of the waters. Like
Yes.
maybe you crack a joke or serve them food and you're like, are they receptive? Are we good now?
Yeah.
That's why it's really important to take some time to embrace in whatever way you
Ooh.
deem like appropriate or warranted. So that could
Mhm.
be like, I am so sorry that, I came at you like that. I'm going to
Mm,
really try and make a conscious effort to take time to process how I feel before bringing it to you next time.
mm,
And they can say their piece, and you can hug, you can hold hands, you can go do something fun to kind of break you out of that awkward transition phase so
yeah.
that you can expedite that journey of disconnect to reconnect.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And I really appreciated you knowing and nuancing personality types, where for some of us, touch is going to feel safer, better. Others of us are going to be like, I'm not ready yet for that hug, but I would like to laugh with you or take a
Yeah,
walk with you. And that right there, for so many of us, that walk just gets things out. And then the hug can come and follow and all of that.
right.
But sometimes it's just taking that first courageous step. I had that the other day with my husband where we were looking at a difficult conversation. And then I said, well, before we go home, I would love to either have a walk with you or what did I say? I was like, well, let's share some gratitudes. I can't remember the third option, but he was like, let's take a walk. And it just like by halfway through the walk, we were laughing and cracking up and had such a sweet, intimate night. And it was just because I had put in that intention versus this, I'm going to hold on. I'm not going to show compassion. I'm just going to end it. And that's what I think you and I both see as marriage coaches is so many people not doing that final piece, right?
Exactly. Yes. And that really seals the deal because you can
Mm.
hold on
Oh,
to a
yeah.
lot of like resentment or hold a grudge, and that can carry on. So even if you've
Hmm.
had the conversation,
Hmm.
you created a resolution
Hmm.
without reconnecting, it's almost like
It's not
you're not even
good.
in a partnership. It's like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel good. And so you're
No.
tiptoeing
Ew.
around each
That's
other, and then
horrible.
something else happens. And so you just want to make sure you can restore that connection
Mhm.
before moving on.
Yeah, you nailed it. And I love what you said there. I've not talked about this very much on this show, but it almost feels like a slimy business deal if you just leave it there and you're
Yeah.
just like, yeah, we made up, we compromised, or we each got a part, but like we were heard. But like conflict isn't fun. And like there can be moments where you're laughing and silly. You're maybe crying a little, laughing a little, like that's depths and that's real. But like, and that's, by the way, amazing if you can do those little things and you're not getting into tirades. But I love how you're even coming in even softer yet here to say, like, there's been a lot of emotions, whether you were really good at it or it was really hard and you blew your own boundaries a couple times. You're saying end well. But with this peace
Yes.
method, I do think we're really increasing our chances for nonviolent communication. And
100%.
yeah, why do you think it's called nonviolent? Do you feel like when people don't have these boundaries, a lot of times anything goes and it just gets wild? I guess I was curious about the etiology a bit of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So the person that came up with it is his name is Marshall Rosenberg. You can actually buy the book on Amazon. It literally is called Nonviolent Communication.
Wonderful.
My my guess is that when we are communicating from a place of lack of self-awareness,
Mhm.
that's where we can easily slip into our reactive modes of protecting ourselves. And when we are desperately trying to protect ourselves because something is being challenged within us, whether it's our sense of feeling wanted, loved, protected, supported, whatever it is, that part of us feels triggered and we will do what we felt like we needed to do to survive the world growing up, right? So, like most commonly, what you experienced as a child. So, what did you feel like you needed to do to quote unquote survive your childhood home? So, anytime you weren't getting what you needed, how did you react? And sometimes that meant yelling. Sometimes that meant,
Mhm.
whatever, or whatever it is that you witnessed your parents do. And you're like, oh, they got what they needed. I'm going to do that too.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
they did that and it didn't get what they needed. So I'm going to go to the opposite side of the spectrum and do this and be
Mhm.
really extreme about it. And
Mhm.
we approach the relationship with quote unquote violence because we are not thinking about the long game. We're not thinking
Mhm.
about how do we want to end this encounter? Do we want to end, with our arms crossed and just looking at each other like we're enemies or opposing sides? Or do we want to feel like we're going to end in a really nice embrace, feeling like we're connected again, what I call coming back to equilibrium, right? And
Mhm.
so it's that forethought that we are not creating space
Mhm.
to make or to create within
Mhm.
ourselves that creates that reactiveness, that quote unquote
Mhm.
violence. But when we pause and consider how do we feel about something? What went on? What's our reality? Is our reality actually reality? What are the different things that we're not considering? That's what
Mhm.
pushes our boundaries to grow
Mhm.
and think more compassionately about the relationship so we can stay focused on reconnecting rather than staying in our almost like toddler-like reactions of
Mhm.
protecting ourselves.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so really real. And like you said, we have histories. There's reasons, and you're not human if you don't have a history of imperfection and
Right.
subcapacity. So to just be humble enough to say, yeah, I'm going back there. It's probably not going to work. I know I have the goal of teamship. I'm slowing down myself. I'm taking a few deep breaths to do this. And I just wanted to land on something important that I think a lot of people are doing. We've been talking a lot about it in our recent series on AI, but I think a lot of people are doing the bypass emotionally to their spouse, and they're doing a tech or AI bypass to say, how can I just now instead look at AI to give me the advice? And I don't know if you've seen clients do this, but I just wondered, what are your thoughts about that? It's certainly nonviolent, but I think we're missing a lot there. Go on.
Oh man. Okay. So I will not bash AI in this
Right,
capacity.
right.
However,
Yeah,
you still have to build your emotional intelligence
yeah.
before you go out and use these scripts that AI is providing you. Why? Because you're not understanding the heart of where it's coming from. Because you
Mm,
can say the right things and
yeah,
still not feel connected. And the reason
yeah.
behind that is because your emotions are happening in real time. You're not always going to communicate your like I don't know, authentic, vulnerable needs in a way that cuts through. So if you're
Mm,
deferring to AI to share your needs because you're lacking language around it,
mm,
okay,
mhm,
great. Use it as a springboard, but
mhm,
also do the background work of like, how can I become more aware of
mhm,
myself so that I don't have to defer to AI to do this going forward? And I can actually have a conversation without being afraid of this other side of me coming out because I haven't done the work to understand when I get triggered, how to handle that trigger in a healthy way, how to communicate what it is that I'm feeling and needing in a
mhm,
non-violent way. So yeah, use it as inspiration, but supplement it with doing the work on your own, whether that's working with a marriage coach,
mm,
going with a therapist, whatever route you want to take, the more you know yourself, the
mm,
better all your relationships will be, including the one that's most important, which is the relationship you have with yourself.
mm,
So,
mhm.
yeah, it can be helpful, but what's even more impactful is doing that inner work.
Wow, that is really great. And you're reminding us that AI is not going to give us that platform. It's going to
No.
perhaps give some good places to research, but doing your work is doing your work is doing your work. You cannot go back to the past through AI. And so I love that you're saying we have to regulate with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's going to take putting the phone actually down and breathing through it and thinking through it and feeling through it and allowing what's right to come before us. And all of this takes that pause for your, peace system that you've taught us today. And I love that. I'm sure that's benefited you so much as a two who can get resentful sometimes, or if
Mhm.
unhealthy, could do a manipulation. Instead, you're like, no, I'm doing my work here. If
Yes.
I need a boundary, I'll give one. Is that what you've noticed for yourself using this pattern?
Oh, absolutely. Because I have been historically that kind of person who's like ready to talk about things right away.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband takes a longer time to process. So he'll be like, I can't talk about this right now.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, I viewed that as you don't care enough to work this
Yeah.
out with me.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, I should also take time while he's taking time because
Mm-hmm.
when I take time to pause and process on my own, I notice that our conversations are way calmer and more productive. And that is something that I will always strive for. And so now I see value in doing the same for myself.
I love that. What another beautiful gift your husband's given you. And if you had said, no, I'm only interpreting that as he doesn't care, it wouldn't have helped you. But now you're actually taking time to let things saturate, sink in. You're not reactive, like you said. So even if you are at first, you're allowing yourself to pause. because sometimes
Yes.
we do have those old memories come up pretty quickly. And I would imagine that even if you have to come back to yourself and say, oops, I started off on a poor footing, that coming back to this method will help you time and again.
Absolutely. And I'm not perfect either, even though I'm a marriage coach. This is more difficult to practice than it is to preach, obviously, like with all things, but like just because you make a mistake and say you get triggered and you act the way that you used to doesn't mean you can't pivot from there. There's many times where I've had to pivot in a conversation with my husband. I'm like, oh gosh, okay, time out.
Mm.
Let me do that over again because I am now like just on a roll of wanting to just like make
Mm.
you feel how I feel. And that is not my intention. That is me trying to protect myself
Yeah.
instead of connect. And so
Mm.
we really do sometimes have to give ourselves a timeout and be like,
Mhm.
okay, what do I want more? Do I
Yeah.
want to keep my pride intact or do I
Mhm.
want to help our marriage grow? Because like if you help your marriage grow, you can enjoy it more for many decades to come. So like
Yeah.
that's always gonna win in my book.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I agree. It is. And it makes me think of how much happier and healthier we all are when we let our partners know and that we're humble like you are. And again, to take us back through the whole arc of this episode as we begin to land, it's like, guys, listen how Michelle has worked into her virtue of humility as a two to say, I have stuff to do. And honestly, if I look at my stuff, it will give us a lift off that we need versus just pointing the finger. That is so beautiful. And every time I tell my husband the story I was telling or something similar to like, here's what was happening inside of me, he can then say, oh, that's not what I was doing or meant. And it offers a healthier narrative of care. But if we just accuse, there's going to be such a defensive response, whereas it's lighter and more playful if you come in humbly. So thank you. You have such a beautiful gift. Your work, your outreach is also incredible. Can you tell our listeners where they can find you, both Instagram, your website, and anywhere else?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Michelle Purta Coaching. My website is michellepurta.com. And I also have a podcast, which I've had Christa on twice now. That was so much fun.
Really
So make
was.
sure you go check out those episodes. The podcast is called the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. So if you connect with me in any of those places, let me know where you found me. I always love to know where people come across my world. And I'm so excited that I got to be a part of your show, Krista. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad. And shout out to Melody for introducing us through. It's so fun. Like, there's so many hard things about social media, but one of the most wonderful is getting to meet awesome people like you. So, thank you for just being here with us. We learned so much from you today, guys. Check everything out in the show notes. Michelle is the real deal. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
With us. She is so good at helping us to process conscious communication, also known as nonviolent communication. You may have heard of this from the famous Marshall Rosenberg, who was awesome at this method, developed it, helped others in some of the most severe war zone spaces in the world to use it in the past to get along. And it's amazing that he could be a psychologist, a peacemaker, a teacher, and even help people in war zones like Rwanda, Serbia, Palestine, Israel, all over. As we know, these are hotbeds for arguments in the past and even still today. And so it's amazing to see when we can use a tool in our own relationships and marriages that has had such worldwide success. And Michelle brings us through her peace acronym with it in just a way that connects with her and I, even as we're processing through the recording. So I'm so glad you're with us. This is almost a live recording. I'm sharing it Wednesday, but it is so cool that we could bring this episode out as quickly as possible to you because I know you and you're here ready for tips and tools. And that's exactly what you're going to get today. We had our fun Taylor Swift episode on Monday, but today you are getting some meat. And that is exactly what I want because I know you need to help those energetic marriage mitochondria. Okay. So aside from that, I hope you're well. Our only other announcements are I'm looking forward to the Ennea Summit, Midlife and Beyond with you. We can continue to learn and grow from those who have gone before or alongside of us if we're already in those years. And that is also in the show notes. We also have an Enneagram and Marriage survey that you can help us to know what you want to see more of on the pod. We are otherwise just having a very busy family week. Wes and I are continuing to teach our C.S. Lewis study. We are headed out to USF for some homecoming events this week and to hear a speaker together as a family, in addition to kids lessons, soccer, voice, soccer games. Actually thinking about that. Are we going to be able to do the soccer game and the football game? I think so. And Melody with all of her different singing things, and Hannah with her grad school applications and GRE tests. We are just in the thick of it with our kids, with us, but we wouldn't have it any other way because this is a beautiful season. And I was also able to speak at the Bridge of Life Foster and Adoption Care group last night. So that was a joy because that's my favorite outreach mission. And I'm sure some of you out there do adoption and foster care. I am just in awe. You are my heroes. And to be able to serve and to speak to you while you're serving day in and out is such a joy. So whatever you're doing out there, keep doing it. It's working. You are making the world a better place. Let's talk to Michelle. She is truly sharing her beautiful marriage gift with us today. And also make sure you check everything out of hers in the show notes too. Thank you again for listening with us. It was so wonderful to have you. I love knowing we're doing this journey together, not perfectly, but with love, grace, and hopefully some fun too. If you loved today's episode, make sure you leave us a 5-star review at Apple Podcast or Spotify so others can find it too. Visit our show notes so you can get all the links from today's show, as well as enneagramandmarriage.com, the Instagram, the Facebook, and all over the place. Make sure you spread the word. Love living intentionally with you. Bye-bye.